Hey guys, Will here, and welcome to the Nightmare Narrative Podcast. Today I am joined by a very special guest. Say hi, Luke.
Hello.
How's it going, dude?
Tired.
Tired?
Quite tired. Yeah. Long day at work. It's been like a 13, 14 hour shift. And this is all I've been on about all day. And I think I've drove everybody crazy just banging on about it.
Yeah, I know. Me and you, we both have a job where we work long hours, like minimum 10 hours at least, and it all
Well,
depends on who calls out or what.
yeah, my job, it's like, it's the hours I've been doing is like overtime. You know what I mean? So it's like, but it's been like stupidly short staffed. And they've been like, we need you to work over. And I'm like, I don't want to, but okay.
Yep,
But
sucks,
yeah.
man. I'm glad you made
Yeah.
it. Thank you for still taking the time out of your day to come on the podcast and hang out with us tonight.
No worries, no worries. Well, it's like we say, we've been talking about doing a podcast together for a while. It's just a shame Nathan can't be with us to be here with the Spooky Boys.
Yeah, Spooky Boys. We're part of the Spooky Boys Club. It's me, you, and Nathan. I think Nathan might be joining us in a live chat here in a little bit. But a couple topics that we'll be talking about today on the Nightmare Narrative Podcast. One, I do want to tell you guys about the investigations that I did this weekend. We'll talk about that. The main topic for today is going to be, why do we only see Victorian era ghosts? Then after that, we'll talk about, why do you think people are so scared of ghosts, and could they physically hurt you? Lastly, is sleep paralysis linked with the paranormal? Is it just a sleep disorder, or is it a paranormal phenomenon? So would like to talk a little bit first about yourself, for people that might not know you. Luke, take it away.
Well, if you don't know me, and my name's Luke, or I go by Creepy Castle on YouTube, and basically I will make videos based on either locations or like things that have happened. It's all like it's either creepy, paranormal, weird, or just outright bonkers. I'll I'll make a video on it. And I've been started making some shorts lately as well. I've took advantage of YouTube Shorts, and it's basically it's like no strict like I'm doing ghosts or I'm doing possessions or I'm doing this. Each video is constantly different, and I'm always trying to find other things to make the videos on.
My favorite
That's
videos that
basically
you've been
it.
doing recently have been like the scary children's cartoons and like just the
Oh,
creepy things that they've been putting in it.
that were fun. Like when we were doing the research for the video, there were way more than what I thought. So I'm actually thinking about doing a part three to that because I've done part one and part two. And do you know when you're like looking, I was reading, I'm like, well, I watched that show, I've seen that episode, and I'm like, I don't remember it being that freaky. But when you're watching it back and as an adult, and you're watching it, you're like, Jesus Christ, how did they let that on a kids' TV show?
Yeah, that Tom and Jerry one with them on the railroad tracks,
Oh, it's
like
sad.
insinuating that they killed themselves.
It's sad. It's proper sad. I was laughing when I were
Yeah,
watching it. I was like, Jesus, it was like a nervous laugh. I'm like, Jesus Christ. No, but I appreciate you liking the videos, and
yes.
it's like I took a long break from it, like 'cause I had mental stuff going on, and then like I say, just bought us own house, and we've got a baby and everything, and like it was great. It was just great to just, like when we've moved into the house to just come back and like, right, I have my space. I've got the space to do it now. I've got the time. It's it's just nice at own little. It's like I said, own little pace to do it at.
It's been great to be able to see you get back to making videos again. It's been awesome.
I think it was quite a long. We're about 4 or 5 months I didn't do a video for, something like that.
Yeah. Well, that was the same for myself. I went 6 months without doing a video at all. And so I lost any monetization I had with YouTube because of it. So now I got to get back into making videos again
Uh,
and pick the views back up.
See,
Back to
I haven't managed to get to the monetization bit yet. So I suppose I'm a little bit lucky in all that because I don't have to redo all the views and everything.
But
But
since you've come back from your hiatus, I feel like you've been more successful with it.
yeah, I suppose. Like, I mean, I was stuck on like I don't know, 300 and some subs for like a year, and but it's like I've learned with myself to like, well, subscribe. I'm not bothered about the subscriber things. I'm not bothered about the view things as long as I'm doing what I want. I'm like putting a video out and just making a video, I'm happy to do that. Like, and it turns out a lot of people are liking it as well. Like, especially with these YouTube shorts.
Yeah, see, I've only done one YouTube short. I haven't really delved into it, but it's been working out great for you guys.
Yeah.
Because I know
Well,
Nathan does it too.
yeah, Nathan does it. Nathan does a lot better on TikTok than what he does on with the YouTube Shorts. I've noticed that. But it's like Nathan is here. I can see him in the chat.
Hey, Rotting Llama Productions, there he is.
There he is, the third member of the Spooky Boys Club. But it's like with the shorts, I figured out my own little formula because I noticed that. Do you know when you look back at a video and you look at your audience retention, like how long they were watching for? I was doing the shorts to that long. So like if people were watching 9 seconds of a 15-second clip, I'd do it down to I'd do that down to 9 seconds. And then I'd do a trending song. Turns out it was Chrissy Wake Up from Stranger Things and doing all that. And then boom, it's like over 1,000 views. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I wasn't expecting that. It was like I was getting right giddy because I kept refreshing the page and I got my girlfriend. It's gone up again. It's gone up again. 5 minutes later, it's gone up again.
And is it like a random video that you felt like before? Oh yeah, like this, it'll be fine. And then all of a sudden, this one shoots up while this one does whatever.
Well, all my other videos don't seem to like. Well, the views are like they're up and down, like, but it's mainly the shorts. It's like I've got a few videos that are over 1,000 views, like, but it's these shorts. It's like it were like for like a week, it was like one after the other. So I was doing one every day. That's what I was trying to do, one every day, and then a normal video on a weekend. But for like 4 solid days, it was like, here's a short for you, and then it'd be like 1,000 views. We're like, Jesus Christ, and they'd be like, here's another short for you day after, and here's 1,200 views. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But it's like, do you know when you're like totally not expecting something? Because every other video I put out, it'd be like low level like views, and I'm not bothered about that. It's just, and then all of a sudden it goes from like 50 views, 1,500. I'm like, where's the difference there? No one prepared me for this.
It seems to be that YouTube Shorts, like the algorithm is really pushing those. Like you'll just be going through, and then you'll see like 5 in one little block, and then as long as you have a decent enough thumbnail or something that looks like someone might be interested in, they'll click on it, and there you go, boom. They don't have to watch a 5-minute video.
The thing is with these shorts, though, I have no thumbnail and I don't put any tags in it. I have no thumbnail or tags. No, I don't even put half the time. I don't put a description in. I make the video on my phone, click upload, and then it just starts going up. I'm like, this doesn't make sense because I know YouTube usually pushes like the more something to do with the tags and then the thumbnail. I'm like, well, everything I've learned to do YouTube with, it's like it's gone, you know what, we'll screw that up, we'll throw it out a window. I'm like, how does that work out? I've got no tags, no description. It's not to a playlist. There's no thumbnail. I'm like, all right then. I'm not going to complain. Honestly, I'm not going to complain. It was just weird.
I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to take some of my older videos and like crop them down to a short size video. And put it up and see what happens.
Yeah, honestly, the sweet spot I've noticed if you do with shorts is like it's between 8 and 10 seconds. That's what I've noticed. That's like the sweet spot. I know, because I know we're like, so a lot of people say that they're on the phone. It's like when they're on TikTok, they're like scroll. Oh, what's that? Oh yeah, scroll, like scroll. It's the same thing. It's like a lot. Even I'm to blame with that. I ain't got a long attention span. Really, I'll be at work and I'll be driving around on truck and I'll go, oh yeah, I bought a flag. And they're like, Luke. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here.
My girlfriend would say I'm the exact same way.
there's no wrong with being like that.
Now, I do want to get to our one of our first main topics, and that's the investigations from the weekend. So what was cool was this was on Thursday. I can't go into too many details about it because I don't know how much about it I can say. But VAPI, or Virginia Paranormal Investigations, the group that I'm with, it was the 3 of us. We got to go to this place in Newport News, which is a local place. I've driven past this building multiple times, historic landmark, and we were given the opportunity to go in and do an investigation on the inside, which is super cool, super awesome. Yeah. And basically, we got with the lady that runs the museum, and she is going to allow us to do a public investigation October 28th, this place. And so basically we got it to where people will pay money to come onto the public investigation, so the money and all the proceeds go straight to the museum to help refurbish the place and get it built back up again, which is awesome.
Nice one. That's great.
That's something that we've always wanted to do is go to these museums and be able to get donations that way. Not that we get paid for any of the work that we do. We just love the opportunity to go to these creepy places and get to do investigations there. So October 28th, we're going to get, I think it's like 15 to 30 people will be able to come out and do an investigation at this place. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Well, I'm just saying, if me and Rotting Llama could come, we would be there in a
Please.
flash. We would.
Yeah. So those of you that don't know, Luke, he is in England, and I'm here in Virginia, in the United States. And same with Nathan. He's also in England. Love to come out and see you guys at some point. I know you guys have been talking about coming out here too.
Oh yeah, it'd be one of them opportunities. Like we need to do this. We at some point we need to do this.
Yes. Yes.
It needs to happen.
I would love to do a ghost investigation in like a really super creepy remote place with you guys and just see your reactions.
Oh, I love it. It's Nathan. Nathan's the bit of the skeptic. Is that the right?
Yeah.
Is that how you say the skeptic? Yeah, that's it. He's a bit like that. It's like it's like before you joined Spooky Boys Club. Me and him would make the videos, and he's going, "Oh, this isn't real. It's not real." I'm like, "Well, I believe," and you do that. He's got this little laugh he does where he goes, "Eh," and you're like, "You believe in ghosts?" I'm like, "Well, yeah," and I'm pretty sure Nathan sat there probably laughing at now, going, "Huh, he's an idiot," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am, but it's the truth."
That's right.
The truth. The truth hurts, Nathan.
And then the next investigation that we did, we went to this house out in Burkeville, Virginia, kind of a remote place, had cornfields all around it. It was very much like, imagine the house in Signs. That's sort of what it looked like.
Right.
This really old country style home. So basically what happened at this location is the lady moved into it 2 years ago. She's been fixing it up ever since. The house has been her family for generations. Her grandparents have just passed away, and so she's now fixing it up. But the story goes that she moved into the house and she brought her boyfriend with her. Boyfriend's super nice guy, everything else, but he got into the house, and one night she goes into the bedroom. She sees that his eyes are like black, and he's acting very strange. So it scared her so bad she went to her parents' house. Then after that, he started becoming a drug addict. He started to become very abusive, and he blamed all of it on the house, that the spirits were talking to him and everything, and he became irrational. Then one day he snaps and decides to start beating on her. And at one point, he grabs a cane and goes to swing down on top of her. But as he's coming down with the cane, he said that somehow some spirit grabbed the cane 3 times and stopped him from striking her. And after that, he fell to his knees and started crying and saying that she was a witch. And that bought her enough time to be able to call the cops to come out and arrest him. Now he's in jail, and she's there by herself again. But she said that everyone that's come into the house has left a believer. She had a sister who stayed there with her nephew. Little kid, he was like 3 or 4 years old, was seeing stuff so bad he was having night terrors that they had to move out to. So we get there, and this place is super creepy looking. It's actually like amazing. It's perfect for a place that you want to do a paranormal investigation at. But we got to go upstairs and see like how the house basically has looked for the last like 20 years probably. And we do an investigation up top. Got a couple things so far. I'm working on that video now to be able to share with you guys. So that'll be coming up soon. And then the last investigation that I did most recently, it was on Sunday. This was in Manio, North Carolina. So this is out in the Outer Banks near the beach. But the story with this place was this couple, they lived in this house, and then their house burned down in 2017. And after that, when they rebuilt the new house, a bunch of paranormal things started happening. They would see spirits of their animals that had passed on. They would see spirits of their parents that would come in there. And what was neat was this one statue of this dog that they had outside their house. that's the only thing that survived the fire was the statue of their dog that they had. And so one of their friends, who's a medium, uh, came over. He stopped by the statue and he talked to the statue, and he said, thank you for protecting them, thank you for keeping them safe. And he walked inside and said that the spirits inside of the statue are what kept them alive during the fire. Um, that's why the statue didn't catch on fire. And apparently they were the spirits of the animals and of their parents that were still there with them. And then they just had a bunch of other really crazy things happen in the house. So that video will be coming out soon too. But when I got home after that particular investigation, so I've been gone all weekend. I finally come back home. I get home about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I go upstairs and I go walking into my bedroom, and I felt a tap on my shoulder. Like, hey, how's it going? Because I hadn't been home in so many days, and my house is already haunted as is. Like, this room that I'm recording in right now is where my grandmother died in.
Wow.
So this house has always been haunted, like ever since I was a little kid. But yeah, so a couple cool investigations that I've done in the last week, and I'll try my best to get those videos up to you guys as soon as possible.
Like, say if you need help editing, you know what I'm always there. Give you one, you know that.
Yeah, so Luke's been he's edited 2 of my videos so far. I'm doing a whole series on how to be a ghost investigator, and it's done a really good job. So I can't wait to put those videos out. I'm trying to compile them all together so that way I'm not releasing a video 1 week and then 2 weeks later releasing another one. I want to be able to start dropping them out one by one. So that'll be a little bit. I'm hoping to have that done by September. And get it ready for October.
Offers always there, even when you've done with these like little series. Offers always there. Like, I love editing; it's one of my favorite things to do. Like, and even Nathan does this. I mean, Nathan's even given me 2 videos to edit, and I haven't done them yet. But, but sorry, I suffer with a bit of a stutter when I get a bit nervous. Like, but it's the offer's always there. I'm always happy to help, and as long as I'm helping you or Nathan or someone editing wise or all, I'm happy. So just drop me a message. Same that goes for anyone out there. Like, if you want a video editing, like, catch me on Twitter or something like that. Drop me a DM or something, and we can sort something out. And it's free as well. So I'm open to doing free editing as well, because I love doing it that much.
Yeah, he's your man. Yeah, he does an amazing job. The 2 videos that he's done so far were great. He set up the intro and then edited down some things. He's done an amazing job. So can't wait to work with you more.
Thanks, Matt.
Now, getting on to our main topic today. When it comes to paranormal sightings, how come most of them are really old Victorian-style ghosts? This question comes from Nathan, one of the Spooky Boys. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us on the podcast today. But I thought that was a really good question. Because most of the spirits that you hear about, they tend to be, long white dress with the ruffles and man with a top hat, Civil War style ghosts, and on up to like the early 1900s. That seems to be the type of spirits that people are seeing. So that was a very good question. Now, Luke, when you think about ghosts, what do you imagine when you hear, "Oh, I saw a ghost"?
It's like we've got a place called we've got one over there. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called the Blue Lady or the Grey Lady. It's one of them, and it's just that you just picture this silhouette or this woman you can see through, and she's got the long Victorian dress on, the hair up like in the bun type thing, and walking around with her hands together. And that's typically what I imagine. Or it's like where England is a massive mining country. It's like, so in my head, like when people say I've seen a ghost, I will see like a miner ghost or all like that. That's what I kind of picture.
Yeah, it's always the lady in white or the lady in black, or the gray man or the headless man or something like that. And it's always
I want to see a ghost that's like the midget in purple. Just spice it up a little bit.
Spice it up a bit. So I looked it up. a couple of theories out there of why it is that whenever you think of ghosts, like that is what you think of. You think of the Victorian style ghosts. Like you don't see ghosts from the 1990s, wearing baggy jeans and sneakers. You think of the people with the dresses.
Yeah.
So kind of an idea is that most of what has shaped our imaginations of ghosts come from the Victorian era. So all of the major poets and writers, authors of the time period that spoke about ghosts or made these ghost stories that we're all very familiar of was during that time period. So I'll read you a couple of the authors off, and you'll kind of notice a trend. So all the major ghost stories come from M.R. James, Violet Hunt, Henry James, Bram Stoker, Charles Dickens, Edgar Allan Poe, Elizabeth Gaskell, Amelia Edwards, Oscar Wilde. All of these stories took place between 1851 and 1898, which would place it right there in the Georgian Victorian era, back when those people wore that type of clothing. And so all of those major stories had ghosts in them that looked like how you imagine ghosts look. So before we started doing the podcast, Luke, we were talking about something very similar. So I want you to picture in your head, guys, what do you think of when you think of Santa Claus? Think of the guy in the red suit, the long white beard. But why is that?
I'm picturing that dodgy guy at the shopping centre that tells you to sit on his knee, and he's not even Santa.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
it's the guy that just puts on the fake white beard.
Yeah, don't even go to extent of putting a pillow under his shirt. It could be stick thin like that, and he's going, "Come sit on my knee, tell me what you want for Christmas." I'm like, "I know your tricks. No way, man."
No, sir.
Nope.
But very similar. So you have these Victorian style ghosts, and you have Santa Claus. Both come from a very similar means. So, Luke, where do we get Santa Claus from?
Right. In case you don't know this, Santa Claus used to wear it were all green. That's how Santa Claus started. And it wasn't until Coca-Cola came along and used him as like it was like a PR stunt, and they changed his outfit red to match the colour of the cans so they could sell more Coca-Cola, obviously at Christmas. So, Santa's in red, and we're going to advertise Santa with Coca-Cola, and that's where the combination of Santa having the red suit comes from.
Yeah, so before Santa and Coca-Cola, you can see many depictions of Santa wearing green, or you have multiple different depictions. But as soon as Coca-Cola started doing Santa, from then on you see him in the red suit and the long white beard. Same thing with ghosts. Before the Victorian and Georgian era, you had ghosts in the Bible. You had ghosts in Greek and Roman mythology. You had all these grand stories from the 1514, 1300s talking about ghosts. People in the Tower of London who would have been dressed in these old medieval clothing. You had ghosts for every time period. But then as soon as you hit the late 1800s, that's when it solidified what ghosts look like. It's the people in the long white dress with the ruffles and the top hats and everything. Because, go ahead, what were you about to say?
I was going to say, I suppose modern day movies do the exact same thing as well, because they'll take the Woman in Black film, for instance. It's the same thing. Haunted house with a woman wearing the Victorian style clothes. Like a lot of modern movies will be doing the same thing because they know it's what scares people.
Yes. And so back then, when you had Charles Dickens and Edgar Allan Poe writing these stories,
It'd be exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they wrote these stories of these people dressed like how they were when he was writing the stories. And then ever since then, you would have modern media referring to those stories. And so when they refer to those stories, you see the ghosts and how they used to look. And so that's why it's just kind of carried on through tradition. When you have more remakes of movies or new stories coming out, they tend to reference the older stories. And so that's when you have these ghosts with those clothing. And so that's why we think of ghosts like that. Now, in my own experience, ghosts come in all shapes, sizes, and forms, and different forms of clothing. Usually, depending on when the house was built or what was going on, I've seen ghosts, or not that I've seen ghosts, but I've heard stories of ghosts who worn just plain t-shirts and overalls and plaid shirts and look like regular everyday people. It's not necessarily every ghost looks like these Victorian ghosts. Um, but I will say what's very common, especially in the United States. I can't speak too much of your area, but in the U.S., what events in our history would cause the most ghosts, and that would be war. We've had the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. Those types of ghosts would have the clothing of the long dresses or the suits and everything else, wearing like the gray or blue clothing. So they would look old timey. So it seems to be when you had periods of extreme emotion, which would be war, it would be soldiers. Those would be the ghosts that would be left behind, and not necessarily the people that live their normal everyday life. So that's why it seems to be more common that you have older ghosts necessarily than the newer ghosts, because that negative emotion is tied to that land, tied to that place, and so now you have those older ghosts there in that place. That's why you tend to see a bit more older ghosts than you do more modern day ghosts. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's not any modern day ghosts, because there absolutely are. There's loads of examples of that. What were you about to say, Luke?
I was about to, because I've just been reading chat. I'm so sorry to interrupt, like, but Nathan's just asked a good question. He says, "Do you see ghosts as do you see ghosts as they were when they were human, or as they did when they died?" Like he said he said, "I would like it." Hang on, let me get my teeth in. Like, would I see my granddad as an old 70-year-old man, but my mum sees him as remembers him as a 40-year-old man? Like, how does that work with ghosts then? It's like, well, my great grandma, would I see, if I saw my great grandma, would I see her as my great grandma, or would my mum see her as the young whippersnapper she was?
It all depends. It depends on the person, and it depends on how the ghost wants to present themselves to you. It seems to be usually the ghost presents themselves as it seems to be the ghost presents themselves as however they want to come to you and how you would best perceive them. For instance, for me, when my father passed away, I would see him sometimes in my dreams, or I would see him at the foot of my bed, like when I would wake up shortly after his funeral. And what I would see would be it started off seeing him as how I always saw him, older man, long white beard. But then the last time that I saw him, it was how he looked back in the 1960s, 1970s. He was a very young man wearing regular clothing, and he was happy and smiling. And at that point, it seemed to be he chose when he felt the happiest and the youngest and the healthiest. So it all depends on how they decide to show themselves to you.
Say, I heard that. I heard that. Well, I say I read it somewhere. Like, when you die, you're more than likely to come back in the form that you are the happiest in, if that makes sense. So, like, if it's like what Nathan's saying. If someone died like a 70-year-old man, you'd come back now. Or if that, it's like, say, if you wanted to look in, like, for instance, if I died, be 50-year-old, like they say, long hair, whatever it is, and I found out and I want to come back as I am now, then it'd be like, yeah, I want to come back as a 27-year-old weirdo instead of
The 27-year-old weirdo that we all love.
yeah. Oh. Soon to be 28, 'cause it's my birthday on Monday as well. So
Hey, happy early birthday.
yeah, thank you.
But I hope that kind of cleared that up. That was a really good question, Nathan. Thank you very much for
A
that.
really, really good question.
Um, let's see. The next topic that I wanted to talk about is why do you think people are so scared of ghosts? Could they physically hurt you? So why is it that people are scared of ghosts in the first place? What do you think?
Movies, movies. Yeah, it starts off with movies. Like, obviously, people watch movies from a young age, and it's like if a little kid watches, I don't know, The Shining or something, and they'll see, oh, there's that woman in the bathtub. I don't know if you've seen The Shining, but there's the woman in the bathtub. So it'll then go on like, oh, that's a ghost, and then from then on, that's how that person will perceive a ghost as, that's scary. That can hurt me because I don't know what it is. That's my opinion. It's like it all stems from movies or books or some story. It all goes from there to why a person can be frightened of ghosts.
I think, like with any fear, you're scared of something that you don't understand.
Yeah,
And especially, so if you look at some of the um, like primary sources from back in the day of people writing poetry or short stories before 1800 even, ghosts were very commonplace. Matter of fact, in Eastern cultures like Asia, they see ghosts as a friendly sign. That it's fine, you know, that's just your loved one coming back to communicate with you or whatever. Like it's not necessarily a scary experience. It's actually something that you are more grateful for to have that opportunity.
yeah,
While in Western culture, you're prone to be more scared of it. And I think it's because of what you said. It's the media that presents it as something that's a scary thing. Like for me, the ghosts in my house, it you know, like the tap on the shoulder, I wasn't scared. It was just like, oh, okay, they're just wanting
it's like,
to
oh,
talk to me. Yeah,
you're there. It's all right. I know you're there.
yeah. It was nothing that scared me right away, you know, because I'm used to it. Like that's sort of my surroundings. But if you're not used to that kind of thing, that would probably scare the shit out of you.
Yeah,
And I get that, you know, I understand why people would be scared, but it's not necessarily something to be scared of. If
no,
anything, take it as opportunity to communicate.
it's like you say. It's just because a lot of time it's if you don't understand something or if you can't at first like see something, it's like if someone's moved. I can't see it. I'm gonna be scared.
Mhm.
It's like half the time it's like a natural instinct. It's like fight or flight, isn't it? It's like you see something you can't understand, you want to run, or you want to like obviously stairs, but it depends on the spirit or the ghost, like on what the situation is. But a lot again, it's like the fight or flight. I think it's like you're scary, I'll stay, but I'll talk to you, or it's you're scaring me, I'm getting out of here.
Mhm. But the second part of the question is, could they physically hurt you? So can ghosts physically hurt you? What do you think, Luke?
I you might have a different opinion to this, right? But my thought is it depends on the type of ghost. So from what I've learned, and I know I've only learned like the tip of the iceberg to do with like ghosts and everything. Is like you've got ghosts, poltergeists, and demons. They're like I know demons are a completely different thing, but it's like they can still like a poltergeist can hurt you because they throw stuff at you. They can manipulate stuff, and that's the only part of hurting that I can think of. But with a normal ghost, it's like mental hurting, if that makes sense. I don't know if I sound like I'm chatting absolute shite, but that's the best way I can, if that makes sense.
Does make sense. I would concur that people have been hurt by poltergeists. They have been hurt by that. They've been scratched or they have had things thrown at them. I think that your normal, average, everyday ghost is not necessarily going to hurt you. I think that these negative ghosts have another entity with them. They have so I don't know. I'm sure you've heard of wraiths. You've heard of dark spirits.
Yeah,
These are things that show up in places where there was a lot of negative emotion. So after battles or something like that, it's like it creates itself. Whenever you have these bad people, it seems to be these negative energies focus in on them. And so it's like these negative energies are able to carry out with things that they wouldn't necessarily be able to do. And so I think that with these negative ghosts or these evil spirits, those are the things that are able to transform over into poltergeists. Uh, so this is my viewpoint for right now, is that a regular human ghost cannot hurt you. Instead, what does hurt you is a negative spirit that is with that regular human spirit, if that makes any sense.
yeah. I never thought of it like like that. It's like it's almost like a balance, and it's like they've got the good and then they've got the bad in a way.
Yes.
It's like that balance in it because if you can't have one without the other, it's like the same there.
So it's like when you have the bad, you also have the evil that's with it.
Yeah,
And that evil is what is actually able to throw things around and able to like hurt you. And then that's when people get involved, like whether it's paranormal investigators or priests that'll come in and cleanse a house. They're not necessarily getting rid of that spirit; they're getting rid of that negative energy that's there, so it doesn't hurt you any further.
oh.
So that's my logic on it. Until I've been told
I
further.
like it. I like it makes a lot of sense, you know, like looking back on like when like it's like with stuff like with like that 30 East Drive or the Enfield haunting or like other stuff like other hauntings like that. It kind of makes sense, to be honest, because they've always it's like when you I know I keep going back to films, but there's a film based on the Pontefract Black Monk, and they said it's there's a little girl there, and then there's the dark spirit with it.
Mm.
And I never thought of it like that. It's like if it's always one of them things of like, oh, it's just it's just there's multiple ghosts. There's a little girl, and then there's the evil. But looking back on it now, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. Are ghosts able to hurt people, or why is it that people are afraid of ghosts?
Yeah, down below.
While we're at it, don't forget to like this video, by the way. It really
I know
helps
I
us
have.
out. Hey,
I have.
I have it.
Oh, for shame.
Let me do that. There we go. um, so another question that we do have is sleep paralysis linked with the paranormal? So is it a sleep disorder or is it a paranormal phenomenon? What do you think, Luke?
That's a tough one. I think if someone's suffers with sleep paralysis and they've been like delving into like paranormal investigations or any of that kind of stuff, I think like if you've got sleep paralysis, like spirits will find a way to take advantage of that. But I think if it were to someone like take myself for instance, I've never done a paranormal investigation. I've never been on one. I think if I had sleep paralysis, then I think it's something that's just happening to me. There's no spirits to do with it, but it's like it's the same again. I don't know if I'm making sense when I say the stuff I'm saying. It's just it's all like to me it sounds like verbal diarrhea what I'm saying. But I just hope it's coming across like this
Well,
is.
have you ever had
This is
sleep
what I think.
paralysis?
Nathan seems to think I have when I
Okay.
was younger.
So what was your experience?
Because my experience was I was laid. It's always that same thing. I was laid in bed one night, and my mum had shut my. I think we spoke about this before. It was the dotted man.
Okay.
It's the same thing. He like opened my door, and I just remembered being like that under covers, just staring at him. And then the bed would dip down and go back up, and then go. They were like the same every night for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I've told Nathan, and he's like, "That sounds like sleep paralysis." So I'm like, "Well, I don't know because it's never happened to me before, and if it did, it's never happened since."
Were you were able to move though, so you were able to bring the blankets up over your eyes.
Yeah, it was like it was there, like, and I went straight under covers. Well, I don't know. It's like I've just been going off what Nathan said. Like I don't think I had the sleep paralysis, like, but it's like Nathan says in chat, sleep paralysis is one of his biggest fears. So
Yeah, it's so sleep paralysis. It's basically when it's shortly after awakening. It's when your body is basically paralyzed because it doesn't want you to be able to move. When you're dreaming, if you're running or jumping off things, your body doesn't want you to be moving as well. It wants you to be kept still. But the thing is that when you come out of the dream, you're still paralyzed, but you're able to see part of your dream. It like leaks out into reality. And
it's
so,
like you're in that. Is it like that midway point between like awake and not awake?
yes.
Right.
Yeah, and so you're not able to move, but your dream still plays out in front of you. And usually it's something that's scary that happens in front of you. Whether it's the traditional man in black with the hat standing in the corner of the room. A lot of Western cultures tend to see him. You've also seen the old hag. That's something that happens, especially around coastal towns. They'll see like an old witch that'll sit on top of their chests or come onto their bed. That's where you get incubuses and succubuses from back in the old days, where those spirits would take advantage of you. So it's pretty common, actually. But is the main question at hand though is sleep paralysis linked with the paranormal? So are you seeing your dreams playing out in front of you, or are spirits actually taking advantage of you in that moment, or you're able to see the spirits that are around you in that moment? So how do you think that the paranormal links to sleep paralysis?
I'm gonna go with that third one you said. It's like the spirits are leaking into it, like not taking advantage. They're just, it's like the spirits might think, well, you can actually see me here, so I'm just gonna be here.
Yeah, so it's like that little bridge for that moment in time. You're able to actually see the things that are around you,
Yeah,
and they take that time to communicate with you or show up in front of you. Um,
yeah.
I know, and my girlfriend will share this with me as well. So I was staying at her place recently. This is the most recent sleep paralysis thing that I've had happen to me. Um, I I was over at her place and I was sleeping downstairs, and there was a French door that came into the bedroom that I was sleeping in. And I rolled over, and when I woke up from my dream, I saw this guy with this beard, and he was pressed up against the glass, like looking like this, but he was like looking at me, and he was like smiling, and his face was pressed up against the glass. And like he was just like staring at me, like as I was sleeping at the bed. And I woke up, I turned and looked at him, and he was still there. Like it wasn't like he vanished or whatever. He was still standing there looking at me. And then he backed away from the door into the darkness, and that was it. So like that was my sleep paralysis. I'm never paralyzed when I wake up from sleeping. Instead, I see these things when I'm able to move, and I see them for like 5 to 10 seconds after I wake up. Um, Usually, it's not necessarily spirits; it's snakes or spiders coming down from the ceiling, that kind of thing. But sometimes it's people that I see.
Wow.
I think
Damn.
from what I've heard, it could be linked to anxiety, ADD, any sort of sleeping disorders that you might have, coupled with other things, and that is how you're able to have sleep paralysis. Usually, people that have sleep paralysis already are anxious or hypertension, or they have depression or things going on in their life, and so that's a way for them, for their body to kind of create something that's there. Like there was some sort of psychological study, or case study done. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but basically they attributed sleep paralysis to when you're sleeping, and then I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you before, Luke, but like you're sleeping and you're in a dream, and then all of a sudden you wake up real quick and your heart's
Yeah,
pounding really bad. So
yeah.
that's very common. I can't remember what it's called. But basically the reason why you woke up is because your body wasn't paralyzed yet. And so it woke you up to be able to get it in sync with being paralyzed and with dreaming. It's a way of your body to protect yourself. But sometimes when you wake up out of that, your body then has to, like, okay, there's a reason why we woke up. We need to make a reason. And then so it'll put a person in the room or a sound or something like that to make it seem like that is why you woke up. And that explains why you wake up in the middle of the night. Your body and what you're able to see is actually making a projection of something to actually scare you, and that's the reason why you woke up. Your body's trying to make up something.
Ah, that's that's really interesting. Is that one? That's really interesting.
That's something that I would love to see
Wow.
studied a bit more, but
Yeah.
that's an idea that's going around.
I can be on board with that. I mean, it's like you said, I wouldn't mind seeing more of
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I know I
We
would be
should
a
do a
Prime 7.
Spooky Boys video on it. We should do a Spooky Boy. That's what we need to do. Spooky Boys does sleep paralysis.
How about when we visit each other, one of us will just go to sleep and we'll film them, and then when they wake up, they'll see something.
Yeah. No, knowing Nathan, because he'll probably want me to go to sleep and he'll probably do something really, really, really Nathan-like in front of me. And be like, it's not real, it's just a sleep paralysis. And I'm like, no, man, that's really not.
I'll make sure he doesn't do anything bad to you. But guys, before we end the podcast, comment down below any questions that you might have. Thank you so much again for joining us tonight. Um, yeah, Nathan saying that is absolutely terrifying. I'm going nowhere near sleep paralysis. I know that is what he said, like one of his biggest fears. Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen to you, buddy.
No. No.
Um, but is there anything else that was on your mind tonight, Luke?
I can't think of all. I honestly can't. I've noticed you keep glitching. It's like Nathan said something earlier about about you said you had like your house was haunted, and your webcam keeps glitching out every now and again. That's what Nathan
Really?
was saying earlier. Yeah.
So my camera you mentioned the house is haunted, especially your room. Your camera every other minute does a glitch. Could this be paranormal? I don't know. I'll have to watch this video again, see what's going on with it.
It's like not all the time. It's like every now and again we'll just see like a little glitch,
Oh, it's
and
weird.
then it's like, oh, yeah.
She,
I
she,
thought it was my monitor at first until Nathan mentioned it. I'm like, oh, it's not my monitor.
she could be in here with me right now. Um, I think in future podcasts, what I would like to do is for us to be able to grab something really cool in our surroundings and talk about it. Like I would love for you to talk about the map at some point that you have. And then also recently, I just bought this typewriter, this antique typewriter at this place. I love it. I pretend like it's Resident Evil whenever I mess with it.
You can be a safe point.
It
I mean,
is
I
my
have
safe
this. I have this. I don't know what it is.
What is
Sarah
it?
got me it.
What is that?
It's a. I have no idea. My girlfriend Sarah, she went to work and she came home. She went, "I've got you a present for your room because I'm on about like decorating this room and making it a proper boss." And she went, "I found something for your desk," and I went, "What is it?" And she went, "Oh, it's this." I went, "Well, what is it?" She went, "I don't really know, but it'll look cool." She says, "Well, one of the like one like that. Where is it? It's there. Or the one, a big one." I went, "Get the big one."
That's pretty cool.
So I think she's on about getting rid of it as. You showed your typer. I wanted to show me thing.
I like your thing, Luke.
Out of context, that sounds really weird, but yeah, thank you. I'm glad you like my thing too.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your day after a long day of work to come join us for the podcast. I really appreciate it. Where can everybody find you at?
Everybody can find me on obviously YouTube's my main one. I've got Twitter, which is you can follow me there, Castle King me. And normally in the dark rooms of places being weird.
Perfect.
Yeah. If you want, it's basically if you want to get me, Twitter's the main one. I use Twitter for everything.
There you go, Twitter, and then of course Creepy Castle on YouTube.
Yeah.
Check out his shorts.
I've also recently made a shorts YouTube channel, but I don't know about that yet. But yeah, it's mainly the Creepy Castle YouTube and Castle King on Twitter.
Sweet. Okay. I'll have to follow you on Twitter. I haven't done that yet.
No, if you follow me, I'll follow you back.
Hey. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Next time we'll have to bring in the other spooky boy and
yeah,
like this a full
the
spooky boy.
The
spooky
boy.
The spookiest boy.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining me, Luke, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast. And remember, sleep.